Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. This is 𝗪𝗲𝗧𝗦 from MassMailer. Today I'm going to talk about a very important aspect when it comes to email campaigns, which we typically would ignore if you're not sure how to really be successful in email campaigns. And if you have background in marketing or sales, sure you must have heard of you know the, the spam emails, and make sure that your emails are getting delivered to inbox so that your end recipients, that is prospects or clients, are actually able to see your emails, which is very, very important when you're sending out email campaigns. I'm going to talk about that topic, what would really make sense for anyone to put in a lot of effort when it comes to planning and execution and all of that, but ignoring certain facts that are crucial when it comes to delivering the emails in a right manner, right? Um, while we all know we need technology for sending out emails, but at the same time, you have to follow best practices, and I would call that as an art. So you really need to master this art of sending out emails, but you have to have technology that's actually supporting you, because in the world of internet, and everything is being watched and filtered. So you have to get through all these firewalls and spam filter softwares and make sure that your emails are landing in inbox, right? So that's the reason why it's very important to know what is required when it comes to email deliverability. So I would go through uh, four essential things that are very, very important when it comes to sending out email campaigns, right? And that's called email deliverability best practices. First of all, as you know, we all use email servers, and the internet world. When you're sending out an email, you have to be a legitimate sender, right? And the internet world, again, given you certain infrastructure where you have to authenticate yourself, saying that, hey, I'm the legitimate sender. And that's called email authentication in technical terms. But you just have to prove that you're a legitimate sender. And how do you do that? You have to do certain things in your web server and email server, and publish that to the entire world, saying that, hey, I'm so and so, and I come from abc.com, which is a reputable company, and I'm using a legitimate email address. And also, when sending out an email, there is an IP address. That's kind of a technical thing again. Like if you say google.com, Google server is hosted on certain servers, and it's got its own IP. Same thing. So if you're hosting your email server somewhere, it would have an IP address associated to that. So that IP address needs to be very clean. So whatever you're doing with your emails, your domain and IP is tied back to those that email reputation. Meaning, if you're sending out an email to someone and they're complaining, hey, so and so sender is not good, they click on a button, spammer or spam, that would impact the domain reputation and the IP reputation. So that's the infrastructure thing where you really have to worry about. And warm up is an important aspect. Again, I'll try to explain it in a very simple manner. So you buy a new car, and you don't drive the car, put it in the garage, and the battery goes bad, or maybe some mechanical issue. So you have to keep running any mechanical thing, the engine, right? Similarly, if you have an IP address that you have purchased from somewhere, or maybe assigned to your server, which you may not be aware, a dedicated IP address, especially I'm talking about, you have to keep using. So meaning when you have an email server, email address for abc.com, you have to keep sending, and that's how you basically build your reputation. It's basically same thing like having a credit card, but don't use any credit card for years. There's no credit score that's built along with that, whether it is good or bad. So you have to start using it when you start using it, you have to use it in a legitimate manner, right? And that's about the infrastructure. Now, very important, you have to make sure that what you're sending is also a good quality content. And again, what is good quality? Certain things that you think, hey, it's right for my business, and I'm sending out some information about my business to my end users, but there's a middleman that's called the spam filter software is actually watching your email and looking at certain words, the framing of your content in the sentences, and how the email has been structured. How is it actually getting rendered on different devices? So these smart or intelligent spam filter softwares are actually analyzing your content, which you're not aware. So you have to make sure that you don't have any spammy words, and your email is now like it's properly laid out and it can render nicely on any device. So you have to make sure that your content is also following best practices, right? And in general, your sending practice has to be really good. Meaning you have to follow some best practices. And I'll go through certain things here, what it means. So basically, when you're preparing or planning, your email campaigns, you have to do certain housekeeping things, right? And check the boxes, saying, hey, so and so is done, 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 and if everything looks good, that's when you want to send out your campaign. And also, who you are sending is also very important. Meaning the list hygiene. So the recipient list has to be relevant to what you're sending. If you're sending it to random people, it may not be even relevant to them, right? I'm assuming that most of you are sending it to your prospects or and clients, and whatever you're sending needs to be relevant to them. At the same time, what you're sending um, also should reach the right audience. Let's say you're sending out information about some financial services content, but you're sending it to a manufacturing client that may or may not resonate well with them. Same thing, if you're sending out some product information, but you're sending it to accounting department, it may not be relevant. So basically make sure that your list is hygiene. The content that you're sending is relevant to the people that you're sending. At the same time, the list that you have got to be right list. And when I say right list, there are more to it. Basically, it has to be clean. As you know, people keep leaving companies, and you do not know if you have 10,000 contacts in a database, how much is valid, invalid, you're not sure. So you want to make sure that your list, recipient list is actually valid. It's not just about whether email is accurate or inaccurate. Sometimes the email is accurate, but is it sendable, not sendable? That information intelligence you need to know, because sometimes there could be spam traps. And again, I'm using certain technical terms. I'll try to make it easy. It's a trap to get spammers. That's called spam trap. So most of the companies would have some spam trap emails because these are not published anywhere. And if you're trying to scrape the list from somewhere, you may end up getting spam traps, and you have to identify them. And again, nobody can do this manually. You have to rely on some technology. That's one thing. And then maybe disposable email. Sometimes people actually just create a disposable email just to try out your software, and you're not aware. You don't want to send it to disposable email. Most likely it may just expire in a couple of days and your email would bounce, which would actually impact your business. So basically you want to reduce the bounces, and you want to reduce any spam complaint people. Some people actually keep complaining about emails a lot, and those are again captured as they're not spammers, but they're complainers. So you don't want them, and you don't want spam traps, and also you don't want to send emails to like a generic email address. That's actually again dangerous too. Sometimes people create an email address, an alias, that just trying to swallow emails. Nobody actually looks at those emails. And those kind of emails, again, would have a bad impact on your domain and IP address. So, overall, you want to make sure that your list is clean. right? These are like fundamental aspects when it comes to email deliverability. And I would get into details. Talking about email authentication IP warm-up, I just touched on at a high level that you have to be a legitimate sender. You have to authenticate yourself when you're sending out an email campaign, but what it is, right? So, again, you would have certain DNS values, a little technical, domain name server setting values called CNAMEs and A record and stuff like that. Your IT would know all of that. So you need to make sure that you're authenticating your domain and IP address. That's very, very important. And again, it's related to the same thing, a little technical, SPF, DKIM, DMARC. So this is more like email infrastructure authentication mechanism created by big companies like Microsoft, IBM's, and Yahoo's, and Google's, and they all have come together and they implemented certain standards when it comes to email authentication, and you have to implement that. It's pretty standard. Again, your IT will know. If you're a business user, you just need to work with your IT to make sure that you have all of this right. And make sure that the IP addresses are also good health, and you have to warm up, meaning you have to keep sending emails regularly. If you do not send emails, like for say 3 months or whatever, you're not building any email reputation. And all of a sudden, if you send a million email, that's going to have a red flag on your domain health or IP health. So you have to keep on sending emails. That's called your regular business email activity that you're doing it. That's called manual warm-up. But there's something called auto warm-up. Certain tools can actually help you to auto warm up your IP. For non-frequent senders, definitely they need to have auto warm up for their IP. And again, that's very important. Okay. And you have to constantly monitor your IP and the domain reputation. What it means, it's like having a credit card. You have to monitor your credit score. Similar thing, you have to monitor your IP and domain health. That's very important. Yeah. And also make sure that your IP is not blacklisted. Again, you can set up certain rules to make sure you get like a notification whenever IP is blacklisted. Same thing, you have to, like, you can have credit monitoring, checks on your credit score. So if something goes bad or somebody's trying to misuse your credit card or whatever, you can get alerted. So something similar. You have to make sure that your IP is not blacklisted. You can set certain rules. And what if it is blacklisted for whatever reason? I mean, it's not end of the world. You can switch the IP. But before switching the IP, see if you can actually get it out from the blacklist. If it's a legitimate reason, you can always request the organization that's blacklisting and get it removed from there. That's quite possible. So that's very important when you're sending out a lot of emails. Make sure that your IP is in a good health. And if you're trying to send prospecting emails, we always recommend that you would want to use a separate domain and IP. Never use your business domain. That's a big no-no. And you wanna use .com domain. We won't recommend anything other than .com when it comes to prospecting emails. And make sure that you got a dedicated IP. You can, based on the volume, you may end up having many domains and many IPs, but still, depending on what the volume is. And now let's talk about your content. Again, very important aspect whenever you're sending out emails, you got to make sure that your email content is really authentic, and you don't have any spammy words. So, well, again, we tend to use catchy subject lines. That's absolutely okay. But at the same time, you have to make sure those words are not having not it won't trigger the spam filter software. And how do you really identify? Again, certain tools can actually help you to analyze your email content and give you options for certain words if they are prone to be caught into the spam filter software. And you have to use both HTML and text version. You may wonder, hey, who is actually reading my only text emails? So Well, business emails are typically text emails, which is fine. But if you're sending out marketing emails, sales-related emails, you will have HTML, most probably. And when you're having HTML, you also have to include the text version of your email. Again, if you're using sophisticated emailing software, you would have an option where you can actually put your text version. And that's very important when it comes to email deliverability. And you want to make sure that you preview emails when you're sending out. Previewing is not just looking at only on your device. You have to make sure it actually renders nicely on iPhones and tablets and Androids and whatever, any other device. And also different operating systems, different browsers, not just Google. It could be Chrome and Firefox, so on and so forth. You have to make sure that it actually renders nicely. Most of them, again, like if you're using an advanced editor, modern editor, most likely the emails that you're creating using their software would render fine, but you still have to make sure. Sometimes maybe you have a lot of graphics that are not necessary. Maybe the buttons are, too bright in device. You may want to reduce. And if you're using some graphics, maybe they're not, they're having some background that may not show in one device, but other device it may show. And the fonts, especially, very, very important. The fonts, how do they render on different devices? Not all fonts are properly rendered on every single device. So you want to use, it's called global safe fonts. You want to use a good font that gonna render nicely on every device. And also make sure that you give an option to people to view the email in a web browser. So some people like to have that option. That's important. And if you're having any images, make sure that you have alt text. Again, certain readers, email readers, they would want this alt text, and it actually improves the deliverability. So whatever I'm talking about here would actually have a very high impact on your email deliverability. So you don't want to ignore all these aspects. Again, it may take some, little bit of 10, 15 minutes to make sure everything is intact. Also, when you're sending out emails, you want to make sure there's a signature. Ideally, it should have an address. That way, it sounds it's legitimate. But if you're sending it to people that you know, that's a different story altogether. But especially if you're sending it to unknown people, prospecting emails, you want to sound that you're a real person. There's a proper contact information in your emails. And if you're sending out marketing type of material or sales material where you don't want them to really flag you don't want them to really follow up with you to take them out from your database. You want to give them an option to just click on unsubscribe link and let them unsubscribe from your emails. Nowadays, Google, Yahoo would render that link, provided you have certain headers. Again, if you're using a legitimate email marketing software, they would take care of it for you. But make sure that you have the unsubscribe link in your emails if you're sending out marketing and sales or business development kind of emails. Also, we recommend not to use red font. That's a big no. And images. So if you're having any images, that's okay, but make sure they're not really bulky. So because heavy email is always heavy to deliver, so deliverability would go down. That's very important. And also, don't use exclamation marks in your emails. I mean, too many is going to be, a big no-no. If you're having one here and there, that's okay. But try to avoid if you have an exclamation mark in your email. And definitely no Flash, no JavaScript. That's a big no-no. People used to have Flash earlier, but I think nobody uses it now. But make sure that you don't have this JavaScript or Flash in your email. That's very important. Also, no all caps. That's a big no-no. So try to avoid all caps in your email content. Try to just regular font, right? That's what we recommend. And spell check, so Grammarly. So want to use Grammarly kind of software, make sure that you're doing a spell check and you don't have any spelling mistakes. And make sure that when you're sending out email, it may have certain links, and they should not be blacklisted too, right? So you never know if you're having some third-party link, some survey or some report, whatever. If it's hosted on a different server, make sure that you analyze the links properly. And again, how do you do all of this? There's softwares that can actually help you. The next webinar, actually, I'm going to introduce that. That's going to be next week. But make sure that the domains that you're using are referring to as links in your email are not blacklisted. And don't use spammy words. Again, you don't know which one is spammy, not spammy. That's where you have to have software that's helping you to identify any spammy words in your email. And then let's take a look at best sending practices. We're just trying to extend from one section to the other. I think it's all correlated. Everything is correlated, but I kind of split it into 4 different sections or categories. That way it's easy to understand. So best practice is make sure you personalize your email. So if you're sending it to someone, dear first name, ideal. That way it feels nice and formal. So try to personalize your emails as much as possible. And you got to test your email. So you built your template using any technology, software, and then make sure you actually send it to yourself and see how it is looking. Not just doing a preview, but send it to yourself in real and click and open different browsers and do a little bit of a testing before you actually send it. And for sure, you want to have a name to the recipient. I understand most of the times we may or may not know sometimes, and it's very, very important to have the name in the to field. And again, it's a little technical. You may not enter name anywhere when you're sending an email, as you know. But Google picks it up as it knows, because it's quite intelligent. Similarly, when you have a database, make sure that you have at least first name. Add that to, again, you don't need to do anything, just let you know. If you're using email marketing software, it would have a field where you're actually passing the name. But again, that's a good practice to actually check, hey, are we passing the name? If we are sending out kind of an email marketing type of an email, you may not even realize this, but if you're triggering some sort of an automation email, your IT needs to make sure that the name is included. It's not just the email, not to email address, but also to name. Very important. And then so when it comes to best practices, you can do retarget campaigns, and you know we it's okay to send retarget campaigns to low engage. Sometimes people don't open. I mean, it's basically 7 touch points that you really need for someone to really take an attention to your emails. It could be most of the times it's the emails, right? Nowadays, business are still using emails, but in general, 7 touch points. It's okay to send low engaged subscribers retarget campaigns, but you got to be really careful. Again, don't send too many and too frequent, again, the relevant content. Okay. And make sure that you send it right intervals. If you're sending email, like 7 emails, 7 days, that's a big no-no. So you got to at least keep some distance between each email, 3 days, 4 days. I'm talking about prospecting emails, especially 1 week, whatever, right? So have some sort of interval. That's very important. And you got to have a consistent schedule for your campaign, especially if you're trying to mine in the industry. Hey, these are my target prospects, and gonna nurture them. But you got to have, when you're sending out these nurture campaigns, you got to have some sort of a consistent schedule. So if you plan it for 6 months, 1 year, fine, but you have to have a schedule in mind. If not everything is drafted or planned or executed, so have in mind, hey, I'm going to do this for 1 month, and okay, next month. So you have to have some sort of a consistent campaign. It's very important so that people actually take attention on what you are, who you are, and then come back to you. So it's very important. And then don't use generic send or emails. So when you're sending out an email, Don't just say, hey, hello@abc.com is what is contacting you, meaning that's your sender email address. Don't do that. If you're John, okay, john@abc.com is the sender. That sounds legitimate, right? John is sending this email. And audit your email deliverability. So it's very important before you actually send out your email, you got to do a quick audit. Hey, what may be my deliverability score if I send this content to say 10,000 people? So the intelligent softwares which would actually do some sort of a weighted score and give it to you, hey, you're at 60%, 70, 80, 90, and it would give you what percentage is decreased because of what reason, some high level information that you would be able to get. But again, that's only for the content analysis, not a real campaign. Real campaign is after the fact, obviously, but you got to do certain audit. And we talked about the target list. You got to make sure that your list is hygiene and good target list. Don't buy email list. Again, I understand that sometimes you have to do prospecting. Is it okay to buy less? I would say it's okay because ultimately when you're going uh, in a conference, you're meeting unknown people. So you're still tapping them. It's okay to tap people digitally as well, unknown people. But when I said don't buy email list, it's basically just don't buy email list and then send an email. You have to clean up, make sure that they're relevant to your business and in the right industry, right employee size, and the email is good. It's not a spam trap email. You got to make sure that you're doing some heavy lifting on the email target list that you have, before you actually put them in a nurture campaign. And again, never scrape sites and then get the email list, but I understand people actually find it from LinkedIn, and which is fine, authentic. But don't just use some random people to scrape websites, especially to find the email list. So you really have to gather more information. Hey, this so and so person, does he have any other social information or maybe contact information? What company is using? Where is he located? You got to have certain other information as well. If you just scrape only email address, that's going to be a cost to you. So you don't want to do it. And try to use double opt-in. So we understand what is a single opt-in, but you ideally would want to have double opt-in. And again, if you're getting a target list, most of the times those are captured from various conferences and here and there, and people would have subscribed to certain things. And most of the information, especially if you're trying to reach your own business domain, they're opted in somewhere else. It may not be to you. And if you ask me, hey, can I use it? Because I never really opt them into my database. I agree. You should not be sending an email. That's the reason why you have to have a big unsubscribe option. If somebody wants to unsubscribe, just make it easy. Click and you boom, done, you're out. That's the reason why it's very important to make sure you send relevant content. Otherwise, it may backfire. So, but ideally, you should have double opt-in. That's an ideal situation. And got to make sure that your list is clean, which we talked about. And spam traps, again, the same thing. So spam traps are very dangerous. You don't want to have any spam traps in your email database. So how do you identify? Any email verification software can actually help you out to just get rid of the spam traps from your software. Oh, sorry, from your database. And very important to segment your list. Again, it could be based on the geographical location or employee size, or maybe some, the department that in marketing, sales, accounting, whatnot. So segment your list, and that may make sense when you're actually sending out email campaign. You're always sending it to the right people and right audience. Make sure that you actually remove them from your database if somebody wants to unsubscribe. So don't make it tough. So don't want them to email you. I mean, some people don't notice that unsubscribe link. I understand they may just email you back, hey, I want to unsubscribe, which is okay. One or two people are just replying back. That's okay. But when somebody even sends an email back to you, make sure that you actually take them out from your database. That's very important. And if people are not even engaging, don't even email them. So I would say no. So you sent whatever 5, 3, 7 touch points, and nobody is doing anything on your email. Just don't send emails to them. And you don't want your bounce rate to be too high. The industry tolerance rate is 2%, so you want to make sure that it's actually always less than 2%. So cleaning your email list would make sure that you're not going beyond 2%. Very important. And you don't want to send emails to bounced emails, so don't just use them. And again, if you're having intelligent email software that would take out all the bounced ones, but there's sometimes you have soft bounces. It's okay to send it to soft bounces, but there's a but thing. So if your email domain or IP is actually kind of blocked by, say, Google or Yahoo, you want to identify and don't send emails to them. If you're sending it repeatedly, that would actually you know, be negative. It's going to negatively impact your domain reputation. So you don't want to do that. That's pretty much it. All the best practices that you really have to follow. And again, I'm going to talk about more about this and how to really stay out of spam folders by having some advanced deliverability analysis. It's going to be next week. Again, how do you really check your content quality, and how do you track your domain IP health, and a little bit more beyond that. How do you preview your emails, and how do you actually identify if the recipient, if there are any domains that you're referring, are they blacklisted or not having good, they're having any bad cookies on the domains, so on and so forth. So a little bit more than that, what I listed here. So I'm going to actually show you in real how actually you can analyze your content. And again, that's going to be next week, same time, 13th, Thursday. So just wait for my email. I'm going to send an email with a recording and also my contact information and everything. Just a snippet here. So who am I? I said I'm from MassMailer, but what is MassMailer? MassMailer is a Salesforce email solution. So it sits natively in Salesforce. You can send emails to any object. You can also send out attachments as well. That's as simple as that. And this is me, and here is my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Again, if you have any questions right now, I'm happy to take questions from you. Again, you can also contact us on this information. If you are new to MassMailer, feel free to get on a quick trial. And here is a link for a trial. And again, I'll see you next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.